So, on behalf of the Department of Jainology, I extend a very warm welcome to Sir, Dr. Jayanthilal Sir, who doesn't need any introduction, but still, he's again, I will repeat my words, friend, philosopher, guide, at least for me and for the department. He's an alumni of the Department of Jainology. He's done his PhD and has published his thesis. And we have published Kunda's literature that is rendered by Sir, and which you have been using for your studies. So I welcome Sir, and today he'll be talking about a very important text, the Ratnakaraņņaka Śrāvakācāra. So Ratna means jewels, Karanda means a treasure box of Śrāvakācāra. So it is like a householder's manual. So a very important text, and coming from a very prominent Acharya. And I think this book is the need of the hour. It carries solutions for all times. And all the students on the other side, I would like to inform Sir that on the other side we have the students of second year. We have Ujjwal from Dubai, Nitin from Bangalore, Usha Rani from Chennai, Varsha Pancholi is joining from Seattle. And then there are others also. We have Mohini ji from our Bhagavati Aradhana group. Our Swadhyay continuously goes on with Sir. So, and we have Reshma. And I think Nitin's father, Parshnath Sir, is also there. So we welcome him. Over to you, Sir, now for the Mangalacharan. Anybody interested in doing the Mangalacharan, or Sir will do it? Or we can also do it. Anybody who is interested? Or we'll ask Sir only to do the Mangalacharan in his style. Over to you, Sir.
Okay. We'll do the Mangalacharan in the style of Ratnakaraņņaka.
Yes, sir. I'll get my text.
Yes, just Madam explained that what the word Ratnakaraņņaka means. But anyway, let us do the Mangalacharan first. Namaha Shivardhamanaya Nirdhute Kalilatmane Salokanam Trilokanam Yad Vidya Darpanayate. I bow to Sri Vardhaman Mahavir, who has washed off all the impurities of sin, that is karmas, from his soul, and whose knowledge reflects or embraces the entire Lokalok. This Mangalacharan has become so famous that most of the scholars or even monks use this as a Mangalacharan for, before starting their preachings or their talks and like that, lectures. So what it means is very simple, as you would have understood, that we bow to Vardhaman Mahavira. Why? Because he has washed off all the impurities of sin, Nirdhuta Kalilatmane. He has washed off all the sins, all the impurities, all the karmas, and like that. But that itself is not enough. Okay, so he has washed off all the karma, then what has happened? So it becomes Rant. So Salokanam, Trilokanam, the knowledge of the whole universe, all the three lokas, that becomes apparent to him, like as we see the Darpan. Okay. He is able to see, or the Arant in Jain philosophy is able to see the entire universe as if it is reflected in the mirror. So the soul becomes a mirror, and the entire universe, all the three lokas, they get reflected in the soul, and that's how the person becomes a pure soul. And pure soul or Keval Gyan or omniscience is all that one, where all the things get reflected. So our objective also becomes Salukanam, Trilukanam, Yad Vidya Darpanayate. In us also, the whole cosmos, all the three lokas get reflected in us like in a mirror. And that's why we bow to Vardhaman. So that's how beautiful Mangalacharan, which has become very popular Mangalacharan. And so I thought instead of doing any other Mangalacharan, we'll do this one. And it is proper that from Ratnakaraņņaka Śrāvakācāra itself, we will take this Mangalacharan. Now, as per the meaning, just Madam explained it, but for the sake of repetition as well as putting the things very straight, Ratna means, of course, you know, 3 jewels, Samyak Darshan, Gyan, Charitra. So that means this Śrāvakācāra also talks of that Ratna. And Karan means treasure or whatever, treasure you use it. So store or whatever. Ratna current. So 3 Ratnas, as we all know. It is a treasure house, but for whom? Not for Munis, but for Śrāvakas, for the households. So those who are Jains, for them, that's why I wrote like this here. 3 jewels for householders, Jain conduct. Okay. It is the conduct of a householder, one who becomes a Jain or who follows Jainism. So for them only this title applies. And that's how the essence of 3 jewels has a meaning for monks also. And the essence of 3 jewels also is relevant for the householders. Because both the households as well as the monks can embark on the path of moksha. And that's why this becomes very important. And in Dwadashang literature, there is a talk about Acharang, means how the monks follow. And there is also a reference to the Śrāvakas, how the Upasaks will also follow the 3 jewels and like that. So this becomes a part of that literature. And so on the one hand, we have great ancient literature started 2000 years ago. There's a book called Ratnakaraņņaka Śrāvakācāra also, similar to that time, little later, but then it started like that. And for monks, Mulachar and other things started. So Mulachar refers to, it is equivalent to Acharan, or as far as Munis are concerned. And this is equivalent to the Acharan or the conduct of the households. Anyway, so we start that thing, we start this our presentation. So we see in this one that just a background. The author of this great text is Samantabhadra Acharya, Acharya Samantabhadra. It is written approximately in the 2nd century, something like about little less than 2000 years ago or 2000 years ago. Subject as discussed, it is Ratnakaraņņaka Śrāvakācāra, or households people to follow Ratnas, what they have to do, or to ensure that they realize the Ratnatraya, what they have to do, 3 jewels. That's what has been the subject of this book. And it is very well written here, and by a great Acharya known as Samantabhadra. Samantabhadra Acharya was a son of a king of Urgapur, capital of Cholas. Capital of Cholas. And now modern, it is known as Trichy. What we know as Trichy in modern times, that was during that period, it was the capital of Cholas. Name was Urgapur, and his education was near Kanchipuram, near Kanchi, and he became Acharya, or he was in the tradition of Kundakunda Acharya, a follower of Kundakunda and Umaswami and like that. And there are few stories, very few stories available, because Jain monks don't write about themselves. But one very famous story about hello. One famous story about is about the propagation of Jainism, that once he had some serious illness, and that illness will go away only if he eats enough food and like that. And so he went to his Acharya, his Guru, Diksha Guru, and said that he will give up the monkhood, Jain monkhood and like that, and become a household. Then his guru refused him to become a Śrāvak, and then told him that you go to a particular place, and then he went to a particular temple, Shiva temple, where lot of prasads were, lot of offerings were done, food offerings. So he started eating that, and he said that he can make the Shiva statue to eat those food and like that. And so that's how he ate a lot of food, and that disease he had got cured. But when it got cured, he was not able to consume the food as much as it was needed. And that's why the whole thing was reported to the king then. And king said that he will be hanged if he is not able to do that, because he has cheated the people there and like that. And then, of course, he recites what is known as Swayambhu Stotra. And when he recites where the it is all about stuti to Tirthankaras, adoration of Tirthankaras, all the 24 Tirthankaras. So when he starts that, and when it comes to the Chandra Prabhu adoration, then at time the temple, there is a rise of temple in that particular place. And that's how the king and other people became follower of Jainism. And that's how this story goes. I didn't try to explain in more detail because that's not our subject, but still to know about the Acharya, we have to know about this story. And then, of course, he has written other books also. One is known as Devagam, Swayambhu Stotra, then Yuktanushashan, then Stuti Vidya, etc. Like these are some of the books of Samant Bhadracharya. Some people say that he may become next Tirthankar also. We don't know,
Sir,
but
your volume is very low, sir.
oh,
बहुत low है sir.
अभी आता है. Now it can hear.
हाँ, अभी better है sir. अभी better है, but it's too low sir.
नहीं सर, नहीं मैम, हमको तो सुनाई दे रहा है अच्छे से. वर्षा बोल रही
ठीक है.
हूँ, अच्छा दे रहा है.
हाँ, लेकिन बहुत कम है आवाज, वॉल्यूम कम. क्लियर है लेकिन वॉल्यूम कम.
Nitin, can you do something? We can raise voice or I do.
Sir, it is fine, sir. Now it's better, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So this text has a 8 chapter or 7 chapters, depending on how we classify. And then it has about 150 verses, gathas, 150. Then with commentary, it is about 500 pages. So what is written there, briefly, we'll try to summarize in today's talk. And its commentary is written by Pandit Sadasukdas, and then it has become a more so because of commentary, which is written in simple Hindi, and it has become a very popular. The English part is also available, very, very, very small. Brief translation of verses only is given there. And of course, as I said, there are 7 or 8 chapters. The chapters are like this. First chapter is on Samyak Darshan, which has from 3 to 41 gathas. And then the second thing is about Samyak Gyan, second chapter, which deals with right knowledge, and the verses from 42 to 46. And then, of course, right conduct in terms of Anuvrata, because Śrāvakācāra. So it talks about Anuvrat, and then about Gunavrat, which increase the values of the vows. And then, of course, Shikshavrat. These are very common things which are mentioned in so many scriptures and part of Jain philosophy, particularly for households. And then, of course, the unique thing in this is known as chapter on Bhavana. And then, of course, followed by Sanlekhana. And then the last chapter is on the 11th Pratimas. So these are 150 verses are contained in this particular book. This, as I was saying, this Bhavana is an independent chapter which is carved out of the various vratas and like that. But it is such a remarkable chapter that it will change our thinking, the way we look at the Śrāvakācāra and like that. And people like me, when we read this thing long ago, It was this particular chapter that impresses everybody else, which is unique and different from the other things. And this is how this whole story goes here. And we'll just briefly see how each of the chapter is, what is the reference point and what does it talk about. So we'll concentrate first on the right faith, which is the chapter 1, as we said. Right faith, Samyak Darshan is chapter 1 here. Very rightly, of course, as we all know, Samyak 3 Ratnas, Samyak Darshan, Gyan Charitra. And he also naturally starts with Samyak Darshan. And he talks about it in 41 verses. Now, some normal thing that we hear about Samyak Darshan is that, of course, it's a big chapter. We will not go into details, but what it talks about is, it talks about nature of dharma. What is dharma? So knowing the nature of substance is dharma and like that, and the various types of dharma, there is a reference, and further reference in the Bhavana chapter. So it talks about dharma and then the true nature of Dev, Shastra and Guru. So what is the true nature? What are the properties, or who constitutes a Deva, and why the false Devas are, both he deals with Dev, Shastra and Guru as a true concepts, true nature, and then the false nature of Devas and Shastra and Guru. Also, all the three things he discusses in great detail, because unless we have a good understanding of the true nature of Dev Guru Shastra or Dev Shastra Guru, then it is not possible to have Samyak Darshan. If anybody has any misgiving or lack of understanding on this concept of Dev, who constitutes Arant, what are the qualities of Arant? If there is if the understanding is not proper, then it is not possible to have Samyak Darshan. Samyak Darshan relies heavily on our understanding of what Dev is, what Shastras are, and what the Guru is like. So, lot of discussion on this particular point is there. And I will take some few points in the next slide. And then the 8 attributes of right believer, Nishank, Nikankshit, Nishankit, etc. And then, of course, 3 types of foolishness, Deva Mood, Guru Murta, and Shastra Murta, like that. 3 types of foolish concept about same thing, Dev, Shastra, and Guru. And then, of course, one who has a lot of pride or different types of prides, known as 8 prides and like that, that person also cannot have Samyak Darshan. So something like pre-qualifications or understanding of what Samyak Darshan is very important to ensure that Samyak Darshan gets manifested, that we realize the soul. That's very important. And then, of course, one has to understand about what is the role of punya and pap, good and bad deeds, as far as Samyak Darshan is concerned. How a Samyak Drishti will look at punya and pap, that's very crucial, because that can be a very stumbling block in realization of the soul. And then, of course, he talks about benefits of right faith. So these are the brief contents in the first chapter, which deals with the Samyak Darshan. Now, just a few points that are very clarifications which emerges in these write-ups or in this particular text. Few points I have selected. There can be more also, just to emphasize that we understand the perspective in which Śrāvakācāra, Ratnakaraņņaka Śrāvakācāra, and the commentator have dealt with it. First, to believe that Arant Bhagavan, he has discussed at length. That's why I'm raising this point here. I have no idea to raise controversy here, but we have to do the justice of the book it is written. So I'm referring to that particular point. And it says that if anybody believes that Aranta or the person Aranta Bhagavan or Tirthankar in 30th Gunasthan has hunger and he takes food, then he has at length explained that it is not possible. Why not possible? He says that even from the 7th Gunasthan onwards, there is no question of hunger, because these are the states of meditation on the pure nature of soul, okay, or the pure soul. So when he's so busy with the pure soul, how can there be hunger? And how a Tirthankar or any person in the 13th Gunstan, which is a state of meditation, can have food and like that. So this point here, with use of many karmas, which karma will lead to the desire to have hunger is part of Moni karma. It is part of Antaraya karma also is not able to prevent it. It's also part of Sata Vedani, Asata Vedani, because there is a feeling of hunger and so on. So these kind of things is not possible. And so the opinion here is that if somebody believes like that, it's not qualified to be a Samyak Drashti, because Samyak Drashti has to understand the nature of the soul, and he realizes the nature of soul. And so if there is a feeling like that, which is negated by so many arguments and like that, so one cannot think of, or one cannot think that Arant Paramatma or Arant Bhagwan, who is in 13 Gunstan, will be taking food. He rises from the land about some 5,000 dhanush above the land, and then there is some ocean, and then some like of that nature. So how anybody can even approach that particular height and serve food to him? And if he's serving or is taking food or feeling hunger, he has come out of the soul. So he has come something like coming back to the 6th Gunasthana and like that. So all those things, violations takes place. So one has to really understand the nature of the soul, nature of God, what it is like, and same thing about Siddha Bhagwan also. So this particular point, which remains controversial sometimes in Jain literature, he clarifies at length that this is not possible. Second point that needs a very, very clear understanding is that, or which is a hurdle. I just wanted to give the title hurdles in the, or the preventing factors, but then I thought clarification would be a better word. So no worship of Kshetrapal or Padmavati, as they are born Mithya Drashti, being Vyantar, Bhavanvasi, etc. So these people are respectable. Kshetrapal, Padmavati, they are part of our Jain religion followers. So Sadharmi, they are fellow beings with us as we are. So we can respect them. We can praise them, their stories sometimes, what we hear and like that. But the worshipping, which is reserved for Arant and like that, cannot be worshipped in the same way, because they are Mithya Drashti. One who is adoring Mithya Drashti cannot realize the pure soul and cannot have Samyak Darshan. So author is of the opinion that this will not lead to Samyak Darshan, and they are born Mithya Drashtis. Like we in the 5th era are also born Mithya Drashtis. Okay. A Samyak Drashti will not be born in the present 5th era. They will be there either in heavens and like that, or they will be in Vidya Kshetra, but not here. Anyway, so that's another point. If has a belief in like that, the author feels that it is not possible to have Samyak Darshan, then they do not help us. Then what karmas will do? If they have two types of things. First is that they do not help us. Okay, there is no way neither we can learn their virtues like that of Arant by worshipping Kshetrapal, Padmavati, etc., nor they will help us in any way, because what we do in our life depends on karmas. Okay, everything that happens in life is governed by karmas. If karmas have no role, and some devs means heavenly creatures have some role, then what the karmas will do? Are they capable of neutralizing the karmas or reshaping the karmas and like that? Nobody is capable. Okay, neither even the Indra is possible. Not possible for Indra. It is not possible even for Tirthankaras to change the karmas. They are all subject to the laws of karmas, and that's for to expect that they will get us Samyak Darshan and like that, it is not possible. So there is a serious, or there is a prominent, not prominent, the karmas play the role as far as worldly events are concerned, and that's why if this clarification is not understood well, it is not possible to have a Samyak Darshan. They are not qualified to be Samyak Drishti. Then, of course, as you said earlier, false concept of those gurus that are having possessions. If a monk or a guru is having possessions, then it is an antithesis of Jain philosophy. It cannot have. They have to be nirgranth, means they do not possess anything and like that. And so, if we believe in a monk life with possessions, then that will become a hurdle in realization of the pure soul or Samyak Darshan. Then false concept of scriptures. Okay. The scriptures which are not really following the tradition as taught by Mahavira. And that's why in the text itself, in the Mangalacharan itself, the prayer is to Mahavira only. So if we have our own concepts in scriptures and like that, it is not possible to have Samyak Darshan. And then household, one very important point here is that household with right faith is better than a monk with wrong belief. I repeat, a household, because we are talking of household conduct, Jain conduct of a household, Śrāvak. So a Śrāvak with a right faith is better than a monk with a wrong belief. Because Śrāvak with a right faith will attain moksha very fast in 2-3 lives. And a monk who has a wrong belief, monk can also attain, but a monk who has a wrong belief will take a long time or may not even attain Samyak Darshan and will not even attain moksha at all. Okay. Or maybe after a long time. So these are some hurdles which are narrated in this commentary as well as in the main text. Then few more things it says. That Samyak Darshan arises with the belief in true nature of Arhant. If I said earlier also that if you don't understand the nature of Arhant, Namo Yantanam, as we all say, and start with that thing. So we have to understand the nature of Arhant. Then only it is possible to realize the pure soul or have a Samyak Darshan. And Arhant is devoid of 18 defaults, including hunger and thirst. So that is emphasized in the 6th verse and like that. Then Arhant has a karma ahar, but no food, as we discussed earlier, no food. Of course, karma, satavid and other things may be there, but Arhant doesn't take food or drinks, or there is no sweat and etc. 18 things that we talked about in the previous slide are there as far as the case of Arhant is there. Then if there is a desire for food or drink or any other desire to help somebody or to like that, all kinds of desires, worldly desires, they may be good desires, but absence desires are caused by Moni karma, but Moni karma is destroyed. Either we have to believe that Arhant has one of the Ghatiya karmas, Moni karma or the main karma is destroyed out of the 4, and all the 4 are destroyed. So if Moni karma is destroyed, then there will be no desires for food, drink, etc., or talking to his disciples, and all kinds of desires will not be there. It is completely absence of desires, okay, which are of worldly nature. And even spiritual desire, no desire of whatever nature is there as far as Arhant case is there. And so desire caused by Moni karma, but Moni is destroyed. And similarly, if senses cause desires of hunger, etc., then Mati Gyan, then there will be no Keval Gyan. Okay. Desires are caused or understood in a state of Mati Gyan, but Arhant has Keval Gyan. So in a Keval Gyan is not, doesn't take place as far as the desires are concerned. Means if desires are there, Keval Gyan not will happen. And another point emphasized in this about the first chapter is that Keval Gyan arises without Diksha or vows. Then no role of Diksha, Sanyam, Mahavrata, etc. The point is very clear that if somebody can attain moksha without taking Diksha, then we assume that there is no role of Diksha and Sanyam and Mahavrata, etc. So this whole concept of Diksha goes away if we assume that, yes, okay, both ways one can attain moksha or nirvana and like that, then it is not possible, because there cannot be two ways of doing it. There has to be only one way. And otherwise, Diksha and all those sanyam and living a life of a monk and all those things will go away if somebody can have Keval Gyan by not taking Diksha and like that. So like that, so many points are raised here. And again, few more points. Those who support false belief cannot attain right faith. Okay? If you're supporting wrong belief, then it is not possible to have a right faith. That is Samyak Darshan. And in the same way, greatest harm to soul is done by false belief, mithya drishti. I mean, what it means is, if mithya darshan does the greatest damage to us, and the greatest benefit is caused to the soul by right faith. So if one has a wrong belief about things, wrong belief means wrong belief about the soul, about God, about Arant, about gurus, monks, and like that, and then about our own self, because our own self is nothing but a reflection of what the Arantas and they have done. That is, means we follow those particular path. So if Arant has certain things, then we will also be inspired by those kind of wrong things, and that wrong things will become harder in the realization of the soul. So the greatest harm is done by that mithyatva, and this kind of mithyatva will not permit us to have a samyak darshan. And without samyak darshan, as you know, it's the basis of spiritual beginning. Without samyak darshan, nothing can happen. Okay. Then right faith results in heaven, in next life, and ultimate moksha. Only with false belief it is not possible. False belief, sometimes one may go to heaven and like that, but this person with the right faith, straight away in the next life, as we are there in the Pancham Kal and like that. Otherwise, in the same life one can go. But certainly in a present things about we talk about it, then he will go to heaven in the next life, and ultimately in couple of births he may ultimately achieve the moksha. So without having a right faith, it is not possible. And if there is a wrong faith, then wrong faith will not lead to ultimate moksha. There may be few intermediate stages and like that, but no guarantee for moksha. Moksha can happen only if there is a right faith. That's also the first step in the among all the three jewels. The first step is Samyak Darshan, which is all every one of us we know about it. But we have to understand in the perspective on which the Ratnakaraņņaka Śrāvakācāra it is written. Then right faith believer has utmost importance in the soul. Okay, he attaches a lot of importance to pure soul, because you realize the pure soul, that is Samyak Darshan. Belief in pure soul is Samyak Darshan. So the extreme or whatever most important or the highest importance is given to understanding the pure soul, one's own soul, as far as Samyak Darshan is concerned. Then only Samyak Darshan will happen. And so a wrong believer focuses on outward things. Okay. So a right believer focuses on the nature of pure soul, understanding the nature of pure soul, and a wrong believer focuses on outward things. Then right believer knows self and others, but knows where the benefit lies. Even if the right believer, Samyak Drishti, knows the soul, own soul and others, but he certainly knows where the benefit lies. And so benefit is only in terms of right belief, or in terms of having abundant or faith in the nature of pure soul and understanding the nature of pure soul. Then only it is possible to really achieve moksha, which is the ultimate goal of Jain philosophy. Jain philosophy, of course, if you look at samasa and other things, the first thing we have to do is to realize the pure soul. To experience the pure soul, that is the objective. And then one who experiences the pure soul will certainly achieve the moksha. So that means those who do not experience pure soul cannot attain moksha, because the first step itself is missing. The foundation is missing. then how to build the castle of moksha over false beliefs. So these are some points the discussion goes in a lot of pages and like that, about 80 pages and like that. I try to summarize into 3 slides about the Samyak Darshan. Now we'll shift to the second part, which is on right knowledge. And of course, all we know, it's a very small chapter here in this particular book, few gathas only. Right knowledge, of course, is nature and knowledge of scriptures. Right knowledge means understanding the nature of knowledge, means knowledge concentrates on the knowledge of the pure soul and how to realize that particular thing is a right knowledge. Okay. And there is a concept called, of course, through scriptures we can realize it. Okay. Because we are in the Pancham Kal, we don't have a direct access to Tirthankaras and so on. So it is only through scriptures that we can acquire the knowledge in present times or at present, or for that matter, in any adverse conditions. Only scriptures help us to acquire the right knowledge. And what is the right knowledge? Complete knowledge of substances. This is defined in the first verse itself. Complete knowledge of substances, not less, not more, as it is. 1, 2, 3, 4 characteristics. And then 5th is without wrong knowledge, and 6th is without any doubt. संशय भी नहीं हो, गलत भी नहीं हो, विपरीत भी नहीं हो, as it is. Tattva, मतलब as it is knowledge, not more, not less. And that type of knowledge is the knowledge that is needed. That's why in the previous slides we talked about God and nature of God, Arant, Gunstan of Arant, and so on. So we have to understand exactly what happens in the 13 Gunstan. What exactly happens to the Arant, which is the objective we are pursuing. So if that knowledge is not there, that knowledge should be complete. That knowledge should be not less, not more, and without any wrong knowledge and without any doubt. So such a great definition. It is a small chapter, but very minutely explain that what are the characteristics of knowledge and how knowledge can be acquired. And then it says that, of course, knowledge can be acquired, or the knowledge of the pure soul can be acquired through, as you know, 4 anuyogas. So Prathama Anuyog, which deals with the stories of the great people, or 63 Shalaka Purush in main. And then, so through those stories, we can acquire the knowledge. We can, although it may be stories, okay, but it might have mentioned all that is needed to achieve Samyak Darshan as well as Keval Gyan. They are like case studies, okay, as we have in management and like that. So that's where study of Prathama Anuyog is very important. Then second is, of course, story of Karnanuyog, which deals with Lokakash, Alokakash, and then its division, 3 parts of the universe, then time cycles, etc. So these, one has to have a basic knowledge of this. Okay. Otherwise, it is not right knowledge, because we'll be guessing certain things which will not be true. Okay. So all the 4 Anuyogas, Prathama Karnanuyog, and then of course Charnanuyog, conduct of household and conduct of monks. Okay, as far, although we may not become monk, okay, for example, but we must have the knowledge of monks. Okay, otherwise we'll be believing in wrong monks. Okay, what is the life of a monk? What one should do, what one should not do. All kinds of knowledge we should have. Mati Shruti, yes, but we should have it. If we don't have, then we don't understand the path to moksha very clearly. We'll be doing some guesswork and like that. And so, what is the conduct of a household? That's why the Dwadashangvani starts with Acharan. We have to understand the life of monks. And then, of course, we have to understand the life of household also. Because both are path to moksha. Both lead to the moksha ultimately. So, this is very important, which is known as Charnanuyog. And then, of course, a knowledge of tattvas, principles, which is known as Dravyanyug. So what it says that one should have knowledge of all these four branches of Jain literature, if not in detail, at least the essence of it, and the nature of this knowledge, and the limitation of this kind of knowledge. Because these Prathamanyug, Karnanyug, and Charnanyug, they may tell us very good things, okay? But ultimately, it is Dravyanyug which will help us to realize the pure soul or to have Samyak Darshan. It is this type of knowledge, the knowledge of tattvas, 6 substances, or tattvas such as asra, influx of karmas and bondage of karmas, samvar, nirjara, etc. Unless we have good knowledge of that, it is not possible to acquire Samyak Darshan. I always feel, and I feel on the basis of literature, that the basic one Jain should know is about 6 substances and these now tattvas. That's a very basic. It's like ABCD in a particular language and like that. If we don't understand that, it is not possible to have Samyak Darshan. We may understand less, but we have to understand these things very intensely. Other things we may not understand, okay? What are, say, some trees in the universe and like that, Jambu tree and Shalmali and all those we may or we may not understand, okay? But these substances, 6 substances, its relation with the soul and tattvas as how the karmic bondage is taking place and how through realization of pure soul to have Samyak Darshan, how we can reverse the cycle, prevent the bondage of karma somewhere, then allow the shedding of karmas to take place, nirjara, and then ultimately all karmas will get destroyed through the process of meditation. So one has to understand the nature of meditation that has to be understood through the scriptures. And all these things, or these 4 types of scriptures, if we study, we'll certainly acquire this knowledge, which will help us to achieve or attain self-realization. Now, of course, we'll very quickly go through the other chapters where Anuvrat, these 5 things all of you know very well. 5 Mahavrats in terms of Ahimsa. I mean, for a Śrāvaka, it is of course Anuvrat. So Ahimsa Anuvrat, then Satya Anuvrat, then Achorya Anuvrat, and things like that. So Brahmacharya, and then non-possession or Parigraha. So in a small ways or whatever as we call it, limited ways, a household adopts this. This is must. These concepts are known. I'm not going into detail in view of our limitation of time. So these are well-known concepts, have to be understood in relation to soul, not in relation to other things. Not by activity itself, but in relation to soul. We'll be hurting the soul. We have to tell the truth about the soul. We have to, not to have too much of parigraha, which can cause hurdles in the realization of pure soul. And similarly, concentrating on the nature of pure soul or Brahma and things like that. Then in the chapter 4, this is chapter 3, Anuvrats. And then chapter 4 talks about Gunvratas. Gunvratas means those things which will enhance the qualities of these 5 Mahavratas in terms of monks, okay. But in terms of this household also, whatever Anuvrats are there, the qualities of Anuvratas will get enhanced if we follow these Gunvratas. So these are 3 types which are very important. Digvratas, mobility in a limited area, or our activity, one decides to contain activities in certain areas and like that. Then Bhogupug in terms of consumption or consumable item and non-consumable items. One sets a limit for oneself. And similarly, Anartha Dandvat, where avoidance of purposeless scenes. One decides to give up purposeless activities, or one realizes that what activities are meaningful activities and what activities are not meaningful activities. So that part is discussed there. Then some select issues about these vratas, anuvratas, they are mentioned in the text, that root of all sins is parigraha. Because to acquire parigraha, one will do all the other sins also, other four. So root is this one, because this only leads to all other sins. That's what the text argues. Then vows with false belief do not lead to result. Okay. If we follow certain vows, but we don't have a right belief, then it will not result as it is being expected. Then adoration of false gods, as we discussed earlier, will result in mundane world only, will not get liberation, will be born again in this world. Then rise of rag dvesh is violence, that part we have to understand, not only killing, but even rise of rag and dvesh, attachments, etc. That itself is a cause of hinsa. It discussed at length in the text. Then in the absence of patience, one can be happy. The kashayas have to be reduced as far as the household is concerned. Then only one can happy. And one has to believe that kashayas have to ultimately go. And then only one can say 10th gun stan and like that, one can go beyond that. This one important thing for the household is about the livelihood, earning activities. And it has been argued in the text that livelihood to be based on ethics and not to adopt unjust means. Okay. If we acquire wealth by unethical means, then we are going to suffer ultimately. If we are violating government laws, then we'll suffer because there'll be punishment, there'll be court cases, one may go to jail, or all kinds of things can happen. You just see that America case, people who have gone to US without having valid documents, without proper sanctions, how they are going suffering now. So like that, whatever livelihood we pursue, it must be based on ethics and not to adopt unjust means, because unjust means will spoil this life as well as next life. Okay. It is not only this life, but other lives to come also will get spoiled. Okay. Then one gets money by good deeds. Others get by doing wrong things like worship and donations, but later go to hell, animal life, etc. I mean, money you can earn both ways, good ways, means ethical ways and non-ethical ways. So what the book argues is that if you have acquired wealth through wrongful means, okay, and then of course, in this life you are able to earn money in a wrongful way, means in the previous life you have done worship or giving donations to not deserving people. And you will continue in this life. And as a result of that, such persons will go to hell or animal life, etc. Now, the 5th chapter deals with the other types of vratas, and then of course, Samayik Vrat, limited meditations, and Deshvakācāra Vrat, limited duration of activities, and then Oshad Vrat, as we all know, limited ecstatic life with a lot of rigorous while doing or pursuing certain vratas, and Atithi Samvibhag Vrata, that is limited charity. So these are very essential part of a household duty, and one must pursue these kind of things. Without that, household activities or Jaina household concept will not be realized. A lot of discussion is there on these things. Samayik means ultimately it is meditation only. So once you have a interest in meditation, then of course you will limit your giving activities outside and like that, and of course will do vratas more rigorous, and those who are pursuing the religious path will try to respect them and do certain things. The one chapter which is very, as I said in the beginning, is on bhavana. The commentator has, or in the commentary rather, derived a concept called bhavana adhikar, And select views have been expressed, which are very, very important. I would try to, it is the very longest chapter in the book is on bhavana. And I will just mention few points here for our recapitulation. Bhavana is the basis of dharma. Nee. Bhavana, bhavanashini, as we said, that bhavana is very important. All of you know that in Jain philosophy, bhav is very important, not the activity, not the external activity, what we do, but what is the intention behind doing it? What is the purpose, inner intention we had in mind while doing that kind of particular activity? So bhavana is the basis of dharma. Dharma cannot be followed without having reasonable. Samyak darshan is also bhavana. Drashti means you have a particular kind of a view. So that view is bhavana. And so what is the your view of pure soul, that becomes the basis of dharma. So not just intention that I had a good intention, no. Intention of pursuing the pure soul, intention of knowing the pure soul, intention of getting absorbed in the pure soul, that becomes part of dharma. Then it is said that all vows, rules, practices have to be bhavana oriented towards this particular goal, towards the goal of pure soul. It has to be oriented. Otherwise, all these vratas that we do will not lead to, all practices will not lead to desirable results, which is samyak darshan and then ultimately moksha. All divisions have to be oriented to bhavana of pure soul. We have division of karma, so many vratas, we have so much divisions. In any concept, there are a lot of divisions. Even our acharan also, there are a lot of divisions, as we discussed. For monks' conduct also, there are a lot of divisions. Samaik and other things, charitra, parihar, vishuddhi, yathakhat, etc. So otherwise, what will happen? If it is not oriented towards pure soul, karmic bondage will take place. If we have a wrong bhavana, that karmic bondage will take place, and that will enhance our worldly cycle, panch paravartan life. So it has to be, all activities externally have to be, I mean, in terms of external factor, reducing karmic bondage, and internally, we should internalize that I am a pure soul. And once we internalize that I am a pure soul, naturally karmic bondage will get reduced, will dwindle. Similarly, there are a lot of things about bhakti in Jain philosophy. So bhakti has to be based on bhavana, and bhavana of pure soul. We have bhav classified, no? Audik bhav and parinamic bhav and so on like that in Tattva Sutra, chapter 2. In the same way, so bhavana has to be following the bhav, which is parinamic bhav, or the nature of pure soul. So if our bhav follows that particular concept, then only it leads to elimination of karmas, karmic bondage, otherwise no. So bhakti, even if we do, it has to be oriented towards that. And the nimitta upadan clarity is also based on bhavana. Okay. External nimitta, external things may be there, but then ultimately it is the concept of pure soul that will decide what will happen to us in the next life or in this life, or ultimately what will happen. So there has to be a very clear understanding of how upadan is more important. The knowledge of the pure soul is more important than the nimitta that we have outside. Bhavana to be based on pure soul, as mentioned earlier, it has to be based on pure soul, otherwise cause of sansar. It will lead to karmic bondage and cycle of births and deaths. Wrong bhavana, wrong result. So that's what bhavana adhikar emphasizes. Then bhavana, but not action, lead to bondage. Okay. It is the bhavana which causes karmic bondage, and not what exactly physically it was done. Because in that physical action also bhavana prevails. So that's why bhavana is more important than physical actions. And what kind of bhavanas are described in this text? A lot of, as I said, is the longest chapter in the book. So 5 bhavana in terms of Mahavratas, then 4 bhavana in terms of Maitri, Pramod, Karuna, and Madhyasthata. And then, of course, 16 Karan bhavana, 16 Karan bhavana, which is the cause of how a person creates a Tirthanka Prakriti bondage, and that ultimately becomes a Tirthankar. So this solar Karan Bhavana is also very elaborately discussed in the book. And then, of course, Das Lakshana, as we call it. So Kshama, Mardha, Varjav, etc. So those 10 bhavanas have also been, some people, including me, I sometimes in Paryushan or whatever, Das Lakshan days, we take up that thing because it's short and it is easy to explain in a simple language to the audience and like that. And then, of course, Bara Bhavana, everybody knows that how this Bara Bhavana is very crucial in realization of pure soul and in the path of moksha. One has to live in the framework of Bara Bhavana, then only one will be able to escape from severe karmic bondage. So, asharan, etc., anitya bhavana, etc., जो भावना है, उनका निरंतर, because one cannot be engrossed in the soul all the time. Atmalinta is not possible. Shuddhopayog is not possible all the time. So then what a Śrāvaka can do or what a monk can do is whenever one gets absorbed in the pure soul, it is okay. But when it is not absorbed or one is not engrossed or meditating on the nature of pure soul, one can think of Bara Bhavana framework, which will help us to prevent serious karmic bondages. So one has to learn, a Jain, a monk, or even a Śrāvaka has to be very, very thorough about these Bara Bhavanas so that we don't commit mistakes in terms of bhavas and avoid karmic bondage and achieve moksha very soon. So that kind of things are possible only when we have these kind of things. Then, of course, 7th chapter here is in terms of Sanlekhana. Sanlekhana is a very prominent concept, as you all know. And this book also emphasizes that Sanlekhana, without Sanlekhana, the highest fruit, as you call it, I will come to last point, I will talk first, then this thing. Highest fruit of dharma is yielded by Sanlekhana. Sanlekhana is Kalpavraksh. It is occasion to celebrate. It is an occasion to enjoyment and not dying with misery and like that, not that way. So it says that, of course, how Sanlekhana is to be undertaken in case of calamity, in terms of famine, in terms of serious disease or old age. These are the 4 conditions in which only it has to be undertaken, not otherwise. Otherwise, it will become a suicide. Conduct as per ability. Whatever one can do, one has to adopt vows and like that, and not which one cannot do that. Seek forgiveness and forgive others. That's a process. And then observe all these vratas and like that. Control passions. And later stage, it is a 12-year period. So at a later stage, when we realize that we may not survive anymore, then one can give up slowly food and water when needed. That's why I use the word when needed. And no desire to live. Jeene ki ho na vancha, marne ki ho na ichha. No desire to live or die. One should be blissful, attain moksha and eternity if one follows Sanlekhana. It's a big topic, but I'm just trying to summarize in few lines. And it's very important. And then, of course, he says that you can go beyond the cycles of time, incomparable state of universe. All those things he talks about it. And then, so highest fruit of dharma, Sanlekhana, is Kalpavraksha, and it's the occasion to celebrate and not to feel misery. What are the factors which will spoil Sanlekhana? Means will not lead to desirable results, and that is desire to live, as I just mentioned it, desire to die, fear of death. Sanlekhana will not yield results if there is a fear of death, and remembering relatives and friends at the time of death. Now we have customer, people will come and meet. Let us see his face before his or her, before she or he dies. That kind of a feeling. So remembering relatives and friends, that will spoil the things, because once a person looks at somebody and is dying, okay, he will remember so many things about him, past relationship, friendship, enmity, and so many things. And as a result, he will be losing concentration on the nature of pure soul. and end up creating more and more karmic bondage. So this remembering also creates problems and desire for the next life. Otherwise, it will lead to Nidan Bandh. That yes, my next life will improve because I'm doing Sanlekhana like that. These kind of thoughts, these 5 types of thoughts should not occur to anyone as far as Sanlekhana is concerned. Then what do we do during the period of Sanlekhana? Ponder only on the nature of pure soul. Think about pure soul. Follow that single objective, realization of pure soul as a path to liberation, as a path to self-realization, as well as path to liberation. So this is how one has to follow this particular process. And then last chapter in this one is 11 pratimas, 11 pratima, and it talks about all the 11 pratimas. And these pratimas, I mentioned the name, I will explain in one line, that it is sequential, means ascending. One has to take this one first, darshan pratima, then one can take pratima, second pratima, vows, vrat pratima, then samayik pratima, then proshadvas, etc. So this has to be in a sequential way, in ascending order, of one after another. What are these 11 pratimas? Pratimas are basically a preparatory stage for becoming a monk and like that. And particularly the last 2 ones are for that kind of things. Even otherwise, these pratimas are the same thing as following the discipline that is explained or enshrined in the 3 Ratnas. Okay. So what is that? Darshan pratima means right perspective or right faith. Darshan pratima, some people misunderstand as going to temple every day. Of course, that may be good and it can be done, it should be done, but then it really refers to Samyak Darshan. Okay. Darshan means Samyak Darshan. One should have realized the nature of pure soul, experience it, then only one can take a pratima. Otherwise, we'll be making a mess of it. Okay. We'll be saying that I have taken pratima, but actually it doesn't know what pratima is like. Okay. And similarly, simply understand that, okay, going to temple is darshan pratima, because darshan word is there. Anyway, so that's the first one. Means without simple way, without samyak darshan, without right faith, one cannot embark on the path of religious advancement or spiritual path, going up and up. Then, of course, Vrat Pratima, keeping these 12 vows that are there for a Śrāvak, Anuvrats and others. And then Samayik Pratima means periodic meditation on a regular basis. One does meditation, otherwise at least on Ashtami and Chautirdashi, one should do it. But it should be regular basis, that's why I written in a bracket here. And then, of course, Proshadvas means Proshad Pratima also they call it, that one must do fasting, resort to fasting. Fasting with a view to meditate on the nature of pure soul, not just fasting for sake of giving up food. Give up food and concentrate on the nature of pure soul. Upavas does not talk about not taking food, but it talks about being very close to the nature of pure soul. Upa means very close, and vas means to reside very close to our own soul. That is called upavas. Then Satchitya Tyag Pratima, where one renounces eating of green leaves or roots, boiled things, or takes boiled water and so on. So that's called Satchitya Pratima. Then this Ratri Bhakta Pratima means avoids giving up food during the night or doing coitus at night, indulging in sensual activities at night. That's given up. And of course, I will not go into detail, but what it means is that night food, of course, no, what I was trying to say in a hurry is that just giving a food at night is one thing, but having a pratima of not eating at food at night things, you will not serve also, you will not do krat karit anubodhan, nothing. And then, of course, Munis also don't take it. So that means even the idea will not occur of eating, right? Like that, there are gradations in terms of not eating food at night and like that. And then, of course, Brahmacharya Pratima, abstaining from sex or related activities. Then Arambha Tyag Pratimam is giving up occupations or earning a living. You give up, you don't indulge into things and like that. And giving up possessions, Tyaga Pratima, so you detach yourself from most possessions, keep very little and like that. And then the last but one is on refraining from giving orders or Anumati Tyaga Pratigya. You don't guide even our own sons and daughters for business or anybody else, or expressing concerns of the family. He lives a completely secluded life and like that. And last is Uddishta Tyag Pratima, where there is a complete renunciation of householder's life, not to eat or live in a place meant for others. A person with Uddishta Tyag Pratima will not live in a place which is meant for them. So they will live in a secluded, a lonely place which is not built for them, not Sant Bhavan as some people call it nowadays, and complete renunciation. And both, similarly, they will not eat food which is meant for them, which is prepared for them. Otherwise, if you support that kind of eating, then it leads to further karmic bondage. So like this, this chapter, last chapter is on 11 Pratima. So I briefly try to summarize. We have more time to question answer. So
Sir has finished his lecture. Am I audible? In dot 1 hour.
yes,
We
yes.
should appreciate that. We should appreciate that, sir. In 1 hour, we have completed 150 verses in Sanskrit, given them an idea of the entire text. I think the students will be more than happy. They will definitely attempt this question in exam, right? So, very good. Now you have questions you ask. Otherwise, I have a couple of questions.
Yeah, for exam purpose only, I prepared slides. I thought these are not ready-made slides. I just prepared it today because it will be useful to understand very quickly.
So, sir knows the pain that the student goes through. So, very kind of him. I think Usha madam is very happy. So, 1 hour la or book complete முடிச்சிட்டீங்க. So, சருக்கு எல்லா வேலை கொடுத்துடலாம். எல்லா book நீங்களே படிச்சிட்டு சொல்லி கொடுத்துரு. Okay, so yes, you have questions, you please ask. Otherwise, I have a couple of questions. I'll wait for my turn. Yes, can I ask the second years to respond quickly? Even the first years can respond. The alumni can respond. We have our faculty also with us, Sunita madam, and who else is there? I don't know. I can't see. Prabhaji is there. We welcome Prabha Gothi ji, Mahendran sir, Sabarji, Dharamchandji sir. Thank you all for joining. Yes, before the students ask questions, anybody is ready? Anybody wants to ask anything, wants to say something quickly?
You need not ask question. You can also comment or what you liked, you didn't like, anything.
What you like, what you learned. Quickly, please. वर्षा जी कुछ बोलेंगे? सबको मौन व्रत है क्या? अभी से अणुव्रत फॉलो करने लगे क्या सब लोग? So
Thank you, sir,
from Ahmedabad is joined.
compact
Yes.
Ratnakaraņņaka Śrāvakācāra in such a short time, explaining all the concepts, all the three jewels in a very systematic manner, and enlightening us again. So thank you, sir. Your lectures always have been very, very informative. We look forward to more such lectures, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, only if 10 people give comments, sir will come again. I'll request sir to come again. Those of you want Moolachar from sir on 22nd, all of you be ready. If you 10 people respond only, then sir, I'll request sir to come.
हेलो सर, थैंक यू सर. सर सुनील बोल रहा हूँ सर. मैं दिख रहा हूँ सर?
Yes, you are.
Dr. Sunil from Ahmedabad, he's passed out MA.
यस सर. सर आपने लिखा था कि राइट नॉलेज में चारों अनुयोग का हमें ज्ञान होना चाहिए, तो वो चारों अनुयोग का ज्ञान होना चाहिए कि कोई भी उसमें से एक होगा तो चलेगा, या हमें चारों चार चीज को थोड़ा थोड़ा भी पता होना चाहिए सर? सॉरी सर।
This correction. Yeah. Okay.
फिर से बोलूं सर एक बार?
हाँ, मेरे को I did not hear. Sorry.
हाँ सर, मैं क्या पूछ रहा था कि आपने हमें राइट नॉलेज में बताया 42 to 46 कि हमें चारों अनुयोग का ज्ञान होना चाहिए, मतलब हमें
हाँ।
चारों अनुयोग का ज्ञान होना चाहिए कि एक अनुयोग का ज्ञान हो तो भी राइट ज्ञान है?
नहीं,
मतलब
चारों अनुयोग पूरा ना पढ़े, मतलब हर सब बुक्स नहीं पढ़े,
हाँ
बट
जी
वी
सर।
शुड नो द एसेंस ऑफ ईच ऑफ द अनुयोग प्लीज.
ओके सर, थोड़ा थोड़ा पता होना चाहिए और चारों
हाँ.
चार थोड़ा पता होना चाहिए सर।
For example, the Prathama Niyog, no story.
हाँ
Here
जी
the
सर।
concern is only about telling the story, okay?
यस सर।
And so the story writer is summarizing the life of, say, Adi Puran, no? Life
यस
of
सर।
Adinath of billions of years before, after, one Koda
यस सर।
Kodi Sagar before that. So
यस सर।
much material is there. So he's summarizing in a very small way. So events will be going very fast.
यस सर।
So one has to understand that way and not understand the other thing, that it can really happen that way.
क्योंकि सर
But they
इसमें
are
हम
study,
यस सर,
they are, one has to understand like this. Prathamani Yoga meant for inspiration for us, because
Yes,
they are
sir.
case studies.
यस सर।
Charnani Yoga, because what we have to do, how we have to save ourselves from the karmic bonds.
यस सर।
And of course, we understand where we are going in Karnani Yoga, no? Where is
हाँ.
moksha, where we are,
ओके।
where is Madhyalok, at least that basic understanding should be there.
यस सर।
So for that, the Karnani Yoga is there. And then ultimately, how exactly we have to go. So acquire the knowledge of 6 substances and 9 tattvas. That is very basic. So at least this kind of a basic knowledge is essential, without which Samyak Darshan will not take place.
ओके सर, थैंक यू सर। इसीलिए हमें ये ऑक्यूपाइड यूनिवर्स, डिवीजन, टाइम सर्किल के बारे में पता होना चाहिए।
Basic general idea. Just say India.
हाँ.
By India, we understand something. Okay, we may not have seen each place, each city, each town, each street,
यस सर।
but we
जी सर।
understand what India is. No, consists of so many
हाँ, यस सर,
places,
यस सर।
so many states, and then north, south. Basic general understanding.
यस सर, थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू सर। बहुत अच्छा लगा सर, एकदम।
अच्छा, चलिए, गुड।
वो 363 वेद के बाद ये अच्छा लगा सर।
हाँ.
Anybody else?
Priyaji, your topic is very nice. Very good topic you selected.
आपको जय एक्सलेंट बोलना है?
It's a very interesting subject, of course. Very interesting subject. And we being Śrāvak, family, household of people, we should know what we have to do and what we not have
Yes,
to
sir.
do.
You explained very well, sir. Very nicely. I liked it, sir. Very nice. Thank you, sir.
सर, मुझे लगता है कर्म की बात बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है। पाताल में भी छिप जाए तो बच नहीं सकता।
हाँ, right. That's very important.
जो भी कर्म किए हैं उसका फल
हाँ.
भुगतना ही पड़ता है।
हाँ, वो सबरबेन what she is telling कि ये कर्म है ना, कहीं पर भी छोड़ेगा नहीं। इस जन्म में, अगले जन्म में, पाताल में छिप जाए तो भी नहीं छोड़ेगा, और सिद्ध शिला पर निगोदिया बन के चला जाए तो भी नहीं छोड़ेगा।
और इंद्र और नरेंद्र चक्रवर्ती कोई भी नहीं बच सकता उससे।
हाँ, कोई नहीं बच सकता।
कोई नहीं
तो
बच
हमें
सकता।
कौन कैसे बचा देगा?
कोई कैसे बचाएगा?
12 भावना का जो प्रकरण है, कोई शरण के योग्य नहीं, केवल आत्मा ही शरण है।
अभी पढ़ा है भगवती आराधना में।
हाँ, राइट।
Anybody else coming up with questions? Sir, I have one or two questions, sir.
Sure.
I see the similarities between Chhay Dhala and Ratnakaraņņaka. वहां पर भी 12 भावना आता है।
बिल्कुल।
हालांकि वहां पर मुनि आचार का इतना वर्णन नहीं है यहाँ पर रत्नकरण में, क्योंकि ये श्रावक आचार है, इसलिए वहां पर भी भावना के बाद, तो यहाँ पर भी भावना इज ऑल्सो प्लेस प्रॉपरली इन रिलेशन टू अनुव्रत एंड संलेख. Second, I wanted to know the meaning of the word pratima, sir. The students may want to know, they don't know to ask, so they can be helped with the meaning of the word pratima. Why this advanced spiritual practices are called as pratima? And second is 10 लक्षण को क्यों आपने 12 भावना में ले लिया सर, या क्यों यहाँ पर 10 लक्षण को 12 भावना में डाल दिया?
नहीं, पहले तो लास्ट प्रश्न एक दो सिंपल क्लियरिफिकेशन. वो 12 भावना में डाला ऐसा नहीं है, वो भावनाओं में, भावना के सेक्शन से भावना
हाँ,
का जो
आपने वहीं से लेकर दिया है, तो क्यों वैसा वहां रखा हुआ है?
No, because it is all bhavnas only, no? This section is also bhavna, क्षमा, forgiveness, मार्दव, आर्दव, ये सब भावना ही है ना.
वो तो आत्मा का स्वभाव है ना सर.
वो तो दूसरा इंटरप्रिटेशन है, बाकी वो तो भावना ही है ना.
अच्छा.
आत्मा की
भावना करेंगे तो
कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स है.
स्वभाव की ओर जाएंगे.
हाँ, बस भावना से स्वभाव की ओर जाते हैं, इसलिए वो डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ भावना उसमें बताया है. So that's why they talked about all the kinds of bhavnas. So this section, all those things, 16 karan bhavana, all those bhavnas are being explained there. That is one thing. Second thing, जो 12 भावना का और 6 डाला का जो आप कंपैरिजन, इसी इन 6 डाला also, 5th chapter is 12 भावना, 6th chapter is about monk life, and 4th chapter is about household life. So there in Chedala, they have gone very sequentially, that you have a Samyak Darshan, and then of course follow vratas and like that. Now the secret of putting Bhara Bhavana is the 5th chapter, before a life of monkhood and after the life of a household. So that's why it comes at the 5th chapter. So why it is so? Because it is equally important for monk life as well as it is equally important for the household life. To remain in the framework of Bhara Bhavana के विचारों में निरंतर रहना, वो that is very important both for munis as well as for grasti. Why? Because grasti can also be always atma में लीन नहीं रह सकता, engrossed in the pure soul. So then he has to think in terms of Bhara Bhavana only. Otherwise he will get attached and then create more bondage. And similarly, monk also cannot remain Atmalin all the time. So one has to think in terms of Bhara Bhavana so that bondage is not created, or greater bondage is not created. So that's why that Bhara Bhavana is explained that way. And the last thing is about Pratima. Pratima means just as we have Gunstan, this Pratima is for the households, okay. So gradually one moves up step by step. Prati by Prati means one by one, something like that. In ascending order, as I try to explain it. So that's how it has to be understood. And why it is done? Because it's sick. In a grasta life also, sequentially it can be done. And that's how it has to be explained, I think. And gradually one moves to the higher levels of achievement. I was just trying to see.
I also see similarity between Purusharth Siddhi Upay and Ratnakaran. वहां पर भी सम्यक ज्ञान के लिए थोड़ा ही दिया हुआ है, यहाँ पर भी सम्यक ज्ञान के लिए थोड़ा दिया हुआ है, और अहिंसा के लिए राग द्वेष की उत्पत्ति है, वही हिंसा है, वो भी बात यहाँ पर आ रही है. काफी चीजें मतलब अपने को,
हाँ वो तो ऐसा ही है ना, because of this और basic things of सम्यक दर्शन, सम्यक ज्ञान, चारित्र से they will be.
हाँ, रत्नत्रय है तो ये सब आएगा.
Even Tattva Sutra gets indirectly in so many ways.
Yeah. So all these texts are in the same pattern.
Yeah.
Covering the foundations of the pathway of liberation.
Even in
Thank
this
you, sir.
Pratima Adhikar, the first verse is that Shravak Padani. तो प्रतिमा है, दे आर द श्रावक के पद हैं, जैसे गुणस्थान पद हैं, वैसा ही श्रावक की विद इन श्रावक दशा, ना, हाउ वन कैन मूव अप. So these are the stages.
Got it, sir. Thank you, sir. Yes, anybody else would like to interact with sir? Otherwise, we can call it a day. Sir, I would like to add something to the 4 Anuyo question that Suril asked for. I've learned it from you, sir. The first thing is the 4 Anuyog is a methodology of the study of the Jain text. There is no such thing as Anuyog.
Yes.
There are 4
no, there is
sections.
no such thing.
एक book नहीं है. Anuyog is not one book.
एक book. Right.
It is
you can although we may call
concept,
it.
You can take one concept and look at it through the lens of 4 Anuyog. Whether it is Sallekkhana or Upvas or Bhakti or anything. So first and foremost is Dravyanuyog, to understand reality as it is. So when you understand the reality as it is, then what practices you will take to? They are told in Charananuyog. And if you don't take to these practices, or when you take to these practices with the understanding of reality, what happens in the karma plane, that is told in Karnanuyog. And then your name is celebrated in Prathamanuyog. Then that person is celebrated or occupies a position in Prathamanuyog. One way of looking at things. Or looking at first, if you take Prathamanuyog, how did they reach that level? By first understanding the Dravyan, applying the Dravyanuyog and understanding the Dravya, then they took to the practices, then they got rid of karmas. So this is how we interpret the Jain texts and study for bettering our understanding.
No, it's good.
I just added what sir told, and I've learned it from sir only.
This is very good only, but just to add 1 or 2 sentences again here. He said, what is reality?
Dravya Gun Paryay.
Of course, but main thing is reality. If you have to understand, there is a soul and there is a karmic bondage. There is a soul. In our present state, we are with karmic bondage. So that's the reality. So one has to understand how to get rid of this karmic bondage and how our soul is. These 2 things, if you understand, then Dravya Yoga is complete. Okay. And how people have done that is told in Prathama Yoga. And after doing that, where one will go, that is told in Karna Yoga. In which part of the universe one will go and from where we have come without knowing the pure soul, what we have done. And once we know the pure soul, what type of conduct we should have. So like that, all the 4 can be summarized.
Yeah, this is also beautiful, sir. Thank you.
तरह से बोल सकते हैं. There is no one way. Udamalji in Mokshma Prakashak said, you look everything from Vairagya angle. Vitrakta.
No, sir, identification of person, मतलब किसको हमें इंस्पिरेशन लेना है, वो भी एक आइडेंटिफिकेशन है. तो वो मुझे कई बार ऐसा लगता है प्रथमानुयोग पहले आएगा तो भी कि इनको मानने से, इनकी टेक्स्ट पढ़ने से, इनका जानने से होगा. क्योंकि फिर हम तत्व तो कई जगह पे है ना, बहुत सारे फिलोसॉफी में है. तो हम ऐसा सोचेंगे कौन सा तत्व, तो कि भाई जो तीर्थंकर है उन्होंने जो बताया वो तत्व, मतलब जस्ट.
नहीं, आपकी बात सही है. हम किसी भी ऑर्डर से स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं.
ओके सर.
ठीक है.
यस.
लेकिन कोई ऑर्डर एक्चुअली है नहीं.
यस सर.
कोई जहां जिसको जो मिल गया, जो क्यूरियोसिटी अंदर में पैदा हुई, उसको लेकर के शास्त्र पढ़ा जाता है. जैसे हम हताश हो रहे हैं तो तीर्थंकरों की कहानी पढ़िए, कितना कष्ट आया मुनियों पर, वो पढ़िए. परिचय कैसे जीते, उपसर्ग कैसे जीते. हम अपनी बीमारी से परेशान हैं तो वो पढ़िए. प्रश्न ये है कि मैं अपने कर्मों का नाश कैसे करूँ या उन्होंने कर्मों का नाश कैसे किया, तो द्रव्यान योग पढ़िए। मर करके हम कहाँ जाएंगे, तो कर्णन योग पढ़िए, कहाँ जा सकते हैं, ऑप्शन चॉइसेस।
जी सर।
तो मतलब कोई डेफिनेट क्रम भी नहीं है, बट ये समझाने के लिए 4 डिविजन्स हैं। और अपने इनर जो ड्राइव है, अंदर में जो प्रश्न चलता है, उस प्रश्न के आधार से हम किसी भी अनुयोग को पढ़ सकते हैं।
हाँ जी सर, थैंक यू
पर
सर।
फिर भी सरलता के लिए कहानी बेटर है, टू स्टार्ट विथ कहानी इज बेटर टू लर्न। इस तरह
Yes,
से नियम नहीं है, बट यू कैन फॉलो दैट थिंग आल्सो।
यस सर, थैंक यू
सभी
सर।
बात आ जाएगी सर, प्रथमान योग में सभी आ जाएगा, द्रव्यान योग, कर्णान योग
हाँ
सब आ जाएगा।
नहीं, वो बराबर आपकी बात, सब जगह
हाँ।
सब आ जाएगा वैसे तो,
हाँ,
लेकिन मुख्यता किसकी है बस वही देखते हैं।
हाँ,
They're not
नहीं सही है,
interrelated.
आपका कहना बिल्कुल सही है,
हम्म,
मुख्यता
Interrelated.
किसकी है वो देखेंगे। कहानी प्रथमान युग में कहानी की मुख्यता, भले सब आ जाएगा वहां पर भी महाव्रत और ये दीक्षा
सभी चीज
लीड
आएगी,
करने
सब
का
चीज
सब
आ
कुछ आ
जाएगी।
जाएगी, सब चीज आ जाएगी।
But she
लेकिन
wants to
कर्णान
be.
योग उस व्रत को एक्सप्लेन करेगा, वो व्रत क्या होता है उसका डिटेल बताएगा। वहां दीक्षा ले ली ऐसा बताएंगे, और यहाँ बताएंगे कि दीक्षा क्यों ली जाती है, उसका क्या फल मिलता है। तो इसमें कर्णान योग में भी जाकर देखना पड़ेगा कि स्वर्ग में जाते हैं, मोक्ष में जाते हैं, क्या होता है। तो मोक्ष क्या होता है तो उसका डिटेल, स्वर्ग क्या होता है उसका डिटेल तो फिर कर्णान योग से मिलेगा। नरक में जाएंगे तो क्या होगा, तो नरक का डिटेल कर्णान योग से मिलेगा। एक दूसरे के पूरक हैं सब,
Interrelated.
लेकिन मुख्यता की दृष्टि से
इंटररिलेटेड
ऐसी बात कहने में आती है।
सब एक
हाँ,
दूसरे से
interrelated।
इंटररिलेटेड।
हम्म हम्म।
कौन कर देगा जल्दी। सर आपको जय जितेंद्र बोलना चाहती
जय
है।
जिनेन्द्र। हाँ जय जी।
जय जितेंद्र। कुछ बोलना है क्या? बस कुछ। आप कैसे हो सर? आप कैसे हो सर?
हाँ हम बहुत
चेन्नई
अच्छे
कब
हैं,
आएंगे
आपने
सर?
जय
आप
जिनेन्द्र
चेन्नई
बोला,
कब
बहुत अच्छा
आएंगे
लगा।
सर? बोला आप चेन्नई कब आएंगे सर? चेन्नई कब आएंगे सर?
नेक्स्ट मंथ।
ओके सर, जल्दी आइए प्लीज। जल्दी आइए।
बहुत अच्छा, वेरी गुड।
बाय गुड सर, बाय
बाय।
जय 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 जय। ओके सर, we'll call it a day. Anybody else? जिनवाणी स्तुति कर लेते हैं एक बेटा ही। हे जिनवाणी भारती तो ही
तो ही
जपो
जपो दिन रैन, जो तेरी शरण आ गए,
सो
सो पावे सुख चैन। वाणी
जावाणी
के
नाम
ध्यान ते सूझे लोकालो, सो वाणी मस्तक में सदा दे तुम।
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I thank everybody who has joined for today's lecture.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.